In the late 24th century, humanity had finally joined the community of stars. After centuries of exploration and mistakes, they had found other civilizations, older, wiser, and more advanced. These alien races had created something called the Geneva Accord, a treaty that kept the peace across hundreds of worlds. It was not named after Earth's city by accident. Humanity had helped write it. It was their promise to never repeat the wars that had nearly destroyed them. Dr. Amelia Ross worked for the Checklist Commission, a small but powerful branch of the Accord. The Commission's job was simple on paper: make sure every member species followed the rules of peace. In practice, it was dangerous and political. The smallest accusation could start a war. The smallest secret could end one. Amelia knew this well. She had been doing it for 10 years. She was 38, sharp-minded, and calm under pressure. Most of her alien co-workers respected her, though few truly trusted humans yet. Humans were seen as emotional and unpredictable, creatures of passion and contradiction. But Amelia didn't mind. She knew what people thought of her species, and she knew that the only way to change minds was through steady work and results. Her new assignment came quietly, just another folder in her daily queue. The Velothi Collective. She had never heard much about them: tall insectoid beings with glittering green shells, a hive society known for technology and efficiency. They had joined the Accord 50 years ago and kept mostly to themselves. Their records were always clean. Their inspections perfect. When Amelia read through the preliminary report, she frowned. The numbers didn't make sense. Energy usage was far higher than it should have been. Biological resource imports had tripled, but production output stayed flat. The Velothi claimed it was due to infrastructure improvements. It was an easy excuse. Too easy. Amelia brought her concern to her supervisor, a gray-skinned alien named Director Navo. "I think there's something off in the Velothi data," she said, showing him the figures. "They're diverting something." Navo barely looked up from his screen. "The Velothi have always been compliant. Their record is flawless." "That's the problem," Amelia replied. "Nobody's record is flawless." Navo sighed. "You've been on too many human cases. You see patterns where there are none. File your report, Dr. Ross, and move on." But Amelia didn't move on. Her instincts told her something was wrong. So she filed her report, then quietly booked a shuttle to Velith Prime, the Velothi homeworld. The planet was beautiful from orbit, a world of silver oceans and green glass continents. The city shone like crystals, built in perfect symmetry. When she arrived, she was greeted by Overseer Thal, a polite Velothi official who bowed deeply. "Welcome, Dr. Ross. We are honored by the Commission's interest." His tone was kind, but Amelia noticed his eyes, 6 of them dark and unblinking. They didn't seem welcoming at all. Her inspection began. She was taken through laboratories, data hubs, and production plants. Everything appeared perfect, too perfect. Every worker she spoke to gave the same rehearsed answers. When she asked about the energy usage spike, Overseer Thal smiled and said, "We have been testing new efficiency modules. Progress requires power, yes." Amelia nodded but said nothing. Later, in a storage wing, she saw something strange. A sealed chamber marked Biocontrol, Level 9 clearance. The Velothi guide quickly steered her away, saying it was unrelated to her audit. She pretended not to notice, but she marked the location on her tablet. That night she went back alone. She had clearance to inspect any facility under the Accord. The guards hesitated when she showed her badge, but eventually stepped aside. Inside the chamber, she found rows of pods filled with a faint blue mist. The walls were lined with organic equipment, half machine, half living tissue. She downloaded a fragment of data from a terminal. The file was encrypted, but a few words stood out in human-readable script. Host adaptability trials. Neural resilience index. Cross-species immunity variance. Her stomach turned. It looked like the Velothi were experimenting on biological systems, possibly weapons. And the phrase cross-species immunity chilled her. When she returned to her hotel suite, she tried to contact the Commission, but her link was jammed. Only when she switched to a private channel did she get through. "Director Navo, it's Amelia. You need to see what I've found. The Velothi are developing a bioweapon." There was a pause, then Navo's face appeared on the screen. His expression was unreadable. "Dr. Ross, do you have any idea what you're suggesting? That's a serious accusation." "I have data," she insisted. "Encrypted files, test results, and visual evidence." Navo's eyes shifted. "Return immediately. Do not speak to anyone else. We'll handle it." Amelia hesitated. Something in his tone was wrong, too smooth, too controlled. I'm not sure I can trust. The connection cut. The next morning she prepared to leave the planet. But as her transport ascended into orbit, a sleek silver ship appeared on the radar. Unidentified vessel, the pilot called out. They're hailing us. A deep voice filled the cabin. This is Commander Var of the Arden Dominion Patrol. Power down and prepare for boarding. The Arden Dominion was another major member of the Accord, powerful, proud, and known for enforcing order. But why were they here? Amelia's heart pounded. She ordered the pilot to hold course. This is Dr. Amelia Ross, Geneva Checklist Commission. I'm under Accord authority. You have no jurisdiction. Authority revoked, Var replied. Return the data you stole from Velith Prime. The pilot turned to her wide-eyed. What do we do? Amelia didn't hesitate. Engage stealth drive. Go dark. The ship jolted, engines roaring as it vanished from the patrol's sensors. In the silence that followed, Amelia stared at the stars. Someone powerful didn't want the truth to come out. She opened the stolen file again, decrypting a few more lines. Her heart stopped when she saw what it said. Immunity anomaly detected. Species classification, human. They weren't just building a weapon. They were building one that didn't affect humans. Now she understood why the Arden ships were after her. Why her boss wanted her quiet. Humanity's immunity made them both a threat and a mystery, and someone wanted that secret buried forever. As the shuttle slipped into deep space, Amelia sat back and exhaled. She didn't know who she could trust, but she knew one thing for certain. She couldn't go back. Not yet. Not until she knew the whole truth. The Geneva Accord had promised peace. But peace, she realized, was only as strong as the people willing to protect it. And if that meant she had to stand against the entire Accord to expose the truth, then so be it. The stars outside shimmered like cold glass as her ship disappeared into the void, carrying with it a secret that could change the fate of every living world. Amelia's ship reached an unregistered outpost hidden between two asteroid belts. It was a forgotten station once used for mining, now run by smugglers and traders who asked no questions. She had no official allies left, so this place was her only refuge. The corridors smelled of old metal and oil, and the power lights flickered in dull yellow. She walked into a small control room where a man waited by the console. His uniform was patched, but his posture was straight and military. "Dr. Ross?" he asked. "Yes," she said, shaking his hand. "Captain Marcus Hale. Former Geneva Security Division. You're lucky your message reached me before they locked down human channels." "I didn't expect anyone to answer," she admitted. Everyone else stopped replying. He gave a half-smile. "That's because everyone else is scared. I'm just stubborn." Marcus was tall, broad-shouldered, and had a steady look that made her feel slightly safer. He led her to a side room where another figure waited, a thin woman with pale green skin and soft ridges along her forehead. Amelia froze for a moment, recognizing her immediately. "You're Velothi," she said quietly. The woman nodded. "Name's Rena Thorne. Don't worry, I'm not part of the collective anymore. I ran the moment I learned what they were making." Amelia looked between them. "You both know." Rena folded her arms. "We know enough to get killed for it. The Velothi aren't just making a bioweapon. They're testing it on prisoners from other races. It breaks down their immune systems in days. No cure. No chance." Amelia sat down, stunned. "How far along are they?" Rena's voice dropped. "Close. Maybe ready. The only problem they've had is with humans. The virus can't bind to human cells. Your DNA doesn't respond to it. It's like your species is invisible to the infection." Marcus leaned forward. "That's why they're panicking. If humans are immune, they'll look like the only species that can survive the outbreak." Amelia rubbed her temples. "That means they could frame us. If the weapon gets out, the others might think humanity built it." Rena nodded slowly. "That's what they're planning. They'll say you humans released it first. Then they'll offer the cure, which doesn't affect you because you were immune all along." It was a perfect trap. A weapon and a lie combined. Amelia knew if this leaked, humanity would be hunted by every species in the Accord. They worked through the night, going over the data Amelia had stolen. Rena decrypted the Velothi files with trembling hands. The logs confirmed everything: experiments, test results, and orders signed by high-ranking officials. Some of those signatures were familiar. One of them belonged to an Arden Council member, Elias Var, the same commander who had tried to capture her ship. Marcus frowned. "That means the Dominion's involved too. The Accord isn't just ignoring this, they're protecting it." Amelia felt her throat tighten. "But why?" What do they gain? Rena hesitated. Control. The Accord's balance is fragile. The Ardens believe the galaxy is too chaotic. They want a reason to impose tighter laws, military control under the excuse of containment. The Velothi make the weapon. The Ardens manage the cure. And everyone else submits. Marcus slammed his fist on the table. So peace through fear. Typical. Amelia looked at the glowing data streams on the monitor. We need proof strong enough to show the entire Accord. Something they can't hide or twist. Rena scrolled through the encrypted logs. There's one more file, the Central Research Core. It's not in the collective's main city. It's on a satellite station orbiting their second moon. Marcus crossed his arms. That'll be locked down tighter than anything. You're talking about sneaking into a military lab. I'm aware, Amelia said. But it's the only way to get undeniable evidence. Rena gave a small nod. I still have an access code. I can get you in. But once we're there, we'll be targets. They began preparations immediately. The old outpost had one small transport ship that still worked. It rattled when the engine started, but Marcus assured her it would hold. As they traveled through the silent void, Amelia stared out the viewport. The stars looked peaceful, but she knew better. Beneath that peace was a tension ready to break. When they reached the moon, Rena guided them to the Velothi research station, a ring-shaped structure glowing with cold blue light. Drones patrolled the perimeter, but she hacked their signal and created a short window for entry. Inside, the halls were sterile and silent. The hum of energy filled the air. They found the central lab without being seen, though every step felt like walking into a trap. Amelia plugged her device into the main console. Data poured in faster than she could read it. Marcus kept watch near the door. Make it quick. Patrols circling back. I'm trying, Amelia said, fingers flying across the screen. There's too much encryption. Rena joined her. Here, this code bypasses their firewall. The monitor flickered, and then the final report appeared. A single file titled Project Chrysalis. Amelia opened it, and the contents made her breath stop. It showed a genetic structure of the bioweapon, a virus that rewrote immune responses. Test subjects from 20 species. Mortality rates over 90%. But at the bottom, a line that froze them all. Human sample, immune response, null. Recommended, classification, biological anomaly. Potential vector immunity source. Marcus leaned in. They think humans might hold the key to controlling the weapon. Amelia whispered, or worse, they want to use our immunity as the model for the next phase. Alarms suddenly blared through the lab. Red lights flashed. Unauthorized access detected, a robotic voice repeated. Go! Marcus shouted. He grabbed the data drive and shoved it into Amelia's hands. Get to the ship. They sprinted through the corridors as security drones descended from the ceiling. Rena disabled two with her handheld disruptor, sparks lighting the narrow hall. One drone clipped Marcus's arm with a stun bolt, but he kept moving. They burst through the docking bay, dove into the ship, and lifted off as laser fire rained around them. The small vessel shook violently, but Rena's piloting kept it steady. The lab exploded behind them, a fireball spreading across the moon's thin atmosphere. Back in orbit, Amelia finally exhaled. We have it, the proof. Marcus grinned through the pain in his arm. Good. Let's make sure the whole galaxy sees it. But Rena didn't smile. She stared at the drive in Amelia's hands. Be careful with that. It's more than proof, it's power. Whoever controls that data controls fear itself. Amelia met her eyes. Then we'll make sure no one controls it. As the stars stretched into lines and the ship leapt into hyperspace, Amelia felt the weight of what they carried. A single file that could destroy the Accord, or save it. For the first time, she realized the Geneva Accord wasn't built on trust at all. It was built on silence. And now that silence was cracking. She looked at Marcus and Rena. Whatever happens next, she said quietly, we don't stop. Not until everyone knows the truth. Outside, the stars burned bright and distant, like watchful eyes over a galaxy about to change forever. Amelia's ship drifted through dark space for days. Every transmission channel was silent. Every official port denied them landing permission. Word had spread fast. She was now branded as a spy, a criminal, and a traitor to the Geneva Accord. The Ardens had issued an alert, claiming she had stolen classified genetic data. Her face appeared on every network feed across the known systems. Marcus tried to reassure her. They can't keep that story straight for long. Too many people know you. Amelia stared at the cold stars. That doesn't matter. The council will believe what they want to believe. And right now they want me gone. Rena was piloting the ship, her hands moving quickly over the console. We can't keep running forever, she said. There's an old station ahead, off the charts. No one uses it anymore. We can hide there for a while. The abandoned station hung near the edge of a dying sun, a dark shape half broken by time. As they docked, the ship's lights reflected off shattered panels and drifting dust. Inside, the corridors were silent except for the soft hum of failing power cells. The air smelled of rust and old oil. Amelia felt uneasy as they explored. What was this place? She asked. Used to be a research hub, Rena answered. Before the Accord even existed. Built by humans. Marcus looked around at the faded Earth logos on the walls. Looks like they left in a hurry. In one control room, Amelia brushed dust from an old console and powered it up. To her surprise, the machine still responded, its blue screen flickering to life. Lines of text appeared, written in Earth Standard. The title at the top read, Project Geneva, Human Genome Defense Program. Her pulse quickened. Project Geneva, she whispered. Rena frowned. That name again. What is it? Amelia scrolled through the files. It was a classified research project from 2 centuries ago. Before humans joined the Accord. I studied rumors about it when I was in law school. It was supposed to create a universal cure for disease. A biomodulator that could adapt to any pathogen. Marcus leaned closer. Sounds like something that could make a species immune to almost anything. Amelia nodded slowly. Exactly. But the project was banned. Too dangerous. The technology could be turned into a weapon if it ever fell into the wrong hands. Rena's voice trembled. And it did. They opened more files. The documents were old, incomplete, some corrupted. But the message was clear. Project Geneva had been abandoned after several failed trials. The experiments had accidentally created unstable viral strands, ones that could rewrite genetic codes. The scientists destroyed most of the data, or so they claimed. Amelia found a final report labeled Archive Transfer Log. It listed data fragments sent to off-world stations for long-term storage. Coordinates followed. One of them matched the Velothi home system. So that's how they got it, Marcus said. It wasn't stolen recently. They've had it for decades. Amelia sat back, stunned. The Velothi didn't create the weapon. They rebuilt it. From us. The truth felt heavy, almost too much to carry. Humanity wasn't an innocent victim. They were the source. The weapon that now threatened the galaxy had been born on Earth, long before the Accord's creation. The lights flickered. The old station groaned, and for a moment, Amelia thought she heard distant footsteps echoing through the corridors. Marcus drew his weapon and checked the hallway. We're not alone. A figure appeared at the far end, a tall man with a dark coat, holding no weapon, only a data pad. His face was familiar. Dr. Ross, he said calmly. You've gone through a lot of trouble to find something that should have stayed buried. Amelia froze. Elias Var, she said. You tried to capture me. Var stepped closer. I didn't come here to arrest you. Not anymore. You were right about the Velothi. But you don't understand the full picture. Marcus kept his blaster aimed. Then started explaining. Var sighed. The Ardens didn't build the weapon. They discovered the same fragments you did, human fragments. We helped the Velothi rebuild the research because we thought we could control it. The idea was simple. Use the bioweapons framework to create immunity enhancers, something to stop the spread of disease across species. But the Velothi took it too far. They saw the military potential. Amelia studied him. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to understand, Var said. No one wanted this to become what it is now. But if the Council learns that the weapon was born on Earth, they'll destroy humanity to erase the shame. That's why I'm here, to warn you. Rena stepped forward. You're trying to protect yourself. Don't pretend this is mercy. Var looked at her coldly. Maybe. But you can't fight this by exposing it. If the truth spreads, every species will panic. There'll be chaos. Amelia shook her head. The truth always causes chaos before it brings order. She turned back to the console and copied every file she could find. The system beeped, showing a last locked folder, Project Geneva, Phase 2. The access code was encrypted beyond recognition, but one phrase appeared at the bottom. Human Genomic Stabilizer, Final Success Pending Field Test. Her heart skipped a beat. There was a second phase. They weren't just making immunity, they were testing it. Var's expression darkened. That's classified information. Don't open it. Marcus took a step forward. That's not your call anymore. Amelia typed in a bypass command. The screen flashed and a video file opened. The recording was grainy, showing a group of human scientists in white suits. They were speaking quickly, words distorted by static. A female scientist's voice came through clearly. Subject displays full resistance to all viral agents. Sequence locked. Recommend containment until full analysis. The camera turned to show the test subject, a young woman sitting calmly behind glass. Her eyes were bright blue, and her expression peaceful. On the wall behind her, a label read, Amelia Ross, Gene Sample 014A. Amelia's blood ran cold. That's impossible. Marcus looked between her and the screen. It's your name. Rena whispered, did they use your DNA? Var nodded slowly. Your great-grandmother. She was one of the last test volunteers before the project shut down. The immunity runs in your bloodline. The room went silent. Amelia stared at the image, realizing why the Velothi weapon had failed against humans, why she had survived every infection zone untouched. The immunity wasn't coincidence. It was legacy. Var took a step closer. Now you understand. This isn't just history. It's part of you. Amelia turned off the screen. That means I have a responsibility to fix it. Var frowned. You can't fight the Accord, Dr. Ross. I don't need to fight it, she said softly. I just need to show it the truth. Outside, the dying sun flickered, sending long shadows across the station walls. Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. Whatever happens next, we're with you. Rena nodded. The galaxy deserves to know where this started. Amelia looked at the stars through the cracked viewport. They were no longer distant lights. They were witnesses. She had carried the truth through fear, through betrayal, and through silence. Now it was time to bring it into the open. She uploaded the files into a secure beacon and set the coordinates for the Geneva Council. We end this where it began, she said quietly. At Geneva. The old station shuddered as they launched away, leaving behind the ghosts of Project Geneva and the dark secret buried inside her own name. The Geneva Council chamber was the largest structure ever built in orbit. It circled a bright blue planet, glowing like a silver crown in the dark. On the day of the summit, hundreds of ships arrived, carrying leaders from across the galaxy. Every race, every government, every voice under the Accord had gathered to decide humanity's fate. Hidden among the supply ships was a small cargo transport carrying 3 people, Amelia Ross, Captain Marcus Hale, and Rena Thorne. They were disguised as maintenance staff, wearing gray uniforms and carrying tool crates filled with equipment and data drives. As they approached the docking gate, Marcus glanced at the scanners. Security's tighter than I expected, he muttered. Rena smirked. You think they'll recognize the most wanted human in the galaxy? Amelia forced a small smile. Let's hope not. Her heart was pounding, but her hands were steady. She had waited weeks for this chance. Once inside, the station was alive with movement. Robots floated down corridors, officials hurried between chambers, and banners bearing the Accord's crest hung from the ceilings. The council summit would begin in less than an hour. Every delegate would be present, including those who had tried to kill her. Their plan was simple but dangerous. They had to reach the central broadcasting hub, connect Amelia's device, and stream the hidden records to every display in the chamber. If it worked, the truth would be seen by the entire galaxy at once. If it failed, they would die before reaching the exit. Marcus led the way through maintenance corridors, using stolen access codes from the old Project Geneva files. Rena carried the encrypted drive in a sealed case. The air smelled of ozone and cold metal. Each turn brought them closer to the heart of the station, and to danger. When they reached the broadcast hub, a single technician was monitoring the data feeds. He barely looked up before Marcus stunned him with a silent pulse weapon. They laid the man carefully on the floor. Amelia connected her tablet to the console. The system recognized the Geneva encryption key immediately. We're in, she whispered. Good, Marcus said. Because once this starts, they'll know exactly where we are. Amelia hesitated, staring at the blinking cursor on the screen. After this, there's no going back. Rena gave a small smile. Then let's make sure it counts. In the Grand Council chamber, the delegates took their seats. The hall was circular, with hundreds of tiers filled with representatives of every species. At the center stood the Geneva Chancellor, a tall Arden whose pale skin reflected the soft lights. The matter before us, the Chancellor began, concerns the unauthorized actions of Dr. Amelia Ross and her human associates. Their crimes, espionage, data theft, and violation of the Accord, are grave. We must decide how to respond. As his voice echoed through the hall, Amelia activated the transmission. Every screen in the chamber flickered. The official logos vanished, replaced by a series of old human files marked Project Geneva. At first there was confusion. Then silence. A video began to play, showing images of the Velothi labs, the bioweapon experiments, and the genetic data taken from Amelia's ancestors. The room erupted in gasps and shouts as the evidence scrolled across the screens. Velothi scientists injecting test subjects, ardent diplomats signing secret supply contracts, and the clear proof that the original weapon came from Earth's abandoned experiment. Amelia's voice filled the hall through the speakers. This is the truth the Council tried to bury. The Velothi weapon is not new. It was born from a forgotten human project. But it was rebuilt under your supervision, funded by your silence. This is not a war between species. It is a war against secrecy. The Chancellor shouted, "Cut the feed." Guards rushed toward the control stations, but the system was locked. Rena had encrypted it from their hub. Marcus was already setting explosives on the doors in case they needed to escape. In the chamber, panic spread. The Velothi delegates shouted over each other, accusing the Ardens of betrayal. The Ardens denied everything, demanding that the human criminal be silenced. One Arden commander slammed his fist against the table. "She's lying. This is human propaganda." Amelia's voice answered, calm and steady. "If it's a lie, then explain why your own code signatures appear on the transfer orders." The lights dimmed as another video played, footage from the secret moon lab showing the weapon tests and the Arden involvement. There was no denying it now. The truth was out. Then the alarms blared. The Chancellor had activated an emergency lockdown. "Find the source of the broadcast," he ordered. "Seal the upper levels." Back in the broadcast hub, Marcus cursed. "They're on to us." Rena checked her scanner. "We've got patrols coming from both ends." Amelia finished uploading the last batch of data. "Almost done. Just a few seconds more." The door burst open and two Arden guards charged in with weapons raised. Marcus fired first, stunning them both before they could react. Sparks flew as a blast hit the wall beside him. "Now," he shouted. Amelia hit the final command. The files began streaming to every Accord network across the galaxy. Open, unencrypted, impossible to erase. "It's done," she said. Rena smiled. "Then we've already won." But the station shook violently. Over the intercom, the Chancellor's voice thundered, "Initiate containment protocol. Neutralize the human vessel immediately." Marcus grabbed Amelia's arm. "Time to move." They raced through maintenance tunnels as red lights flashed. Drones swarmed in pursuit. Rena stayed behind for a moment, rerouting the drones' tracking systems to buy them time. "Go," she yelled. "I'll meet you at the docks." Amelia hesitated, but Marcus pulled her along. The corridor exploded behind them as the security drones fired blindly. They ran until they reached the docking bay. Their ship was still there, engines already running. As they boarded, a message flashed across the main screen, an open broadcast from the council chamber. The Chancellor was shouting, surrounded by chaos. Delegates were leaving their seats, some fighting, some pleading. The Velothi representative stood trembling. "You promised us control," he screamed. Amelia watched silently as the council's order crumbled in real time. "The truth was all it took," she whispered. Marcus piloted the ship away from the station. The Geneva ring glowed behind them, sirens echoing through the comm channels. Rena's voice crackled through the radio. "I'm out." "Made it to a cargo shuttle." "Don't wait for me, get clear." "We'll see you again," Amelia said softly. The ship jumped to light speed. In the silence that followed, Amelia looked out the window at the stars. The Accord had seen the truth, every secret exposed, every lie undone. The future was uncertain now. Alliances would shift. Leaders would fall. But something new would rise from the chaos. Marcus broke the silence. "You realize the Council will call you the most dangerous woman in the galaxy now." Amelia smiled faintly. "Maybe. But at least they'll have to call me honest." He laughed quietly, shaking his head. "You've changed everything, Amelia." "Not everything," she said, her gaze distant. "Just enough." As the stars stretched into silver lines and the Geneva station faded behind them, Amelia knew the galaxy would never be the same. Months had passed since the day Amelia Ross exposed the truth to the galaxy. The chaos that followed was unlike anything the Accord had ever faced. Entire governments collapsed, alliances broke apart, and fear spread across the stars. But slowly, painfully, the dust began to settle. For the first time in decades, the Geneva Accord met again, this time not to punish but to rebuild. Delegates from hundreds of worlds gathered on a neutral planet called Helion, far from the old council station that had been damaged during the riot. There were no golden banners, no grand speeches, just tired leaders and a shared hope that something better could rise from the ruins. Amelia stood on the balcony of the new council hall, watching the sunrise over Helion's twin oceans. The air was clear, the water still, and for a brief moment, peace felt real again. She had spent weeks testifying before the council, answering every question, showing every file she had. The truth was ugly, but it had set something free. Inside, the chamber buzzed with quiet activity. Workers installed new security systems, technicians calibrated holographic translators, and journalists from across the galaxy prepared to record the first official meeting of the Reformed Accord. Marcus Hale entered the room carrying a small metal case. He looked more rested than before, though the scars on his arms still showed from their escape. "You've been up since dawn again?" he said, smiling softly. "I couldn't sleep," Amelia admitted. "Too many thoughts." "About today?" She nodded. "About everything. We did what we had to do, but it came with a price. So many lives lost in the chaos. I keep wondering if there could have been another way." Marcus set the case down. "You gave them truth. That's the one thing no one else had the courage to do. The rest will take time." He opened the case, revealing a new insignia, a silver pin shaped like a circle of stars. "They approved it," he said. "The Oversight Bureau. And they want you to lead it." Amelia stared at the pin. "So it's official?" He nodded. "From now on, every major project, every weapon design, every genetic experiment, will pass through your bureau. Nothing gets buried again." Amelia took the pin and turned it in her hand. "I never wanted power," she said quietly. Marcus smiled. "You didn't take it for power. You took it for responsibility." The chamber doors opened and Rena Thorne entered. The Velothi defector had been granted protection by the new accord and now served as a scientific advisor. Her bright green eyes dimmed as she approached. "It's done," she said. "The Velothi Council has issued a full apology. They're dissolving the old research division. Everything connected to the bioweapon is being destroyed." Amelia nodded. "And the Ardens?" Rena sighed. "Elias Var resigned from the Dominion Council. He's been silent since the trial. The Dominion has pulled back its fleets from the border sectors and handed over every record they had. It's a start." Amelia gave a small nod. "Then maybe there's hope." The meeting began soon after. Delegates filled the hall, their faces tired but determined. The new Accord Charter was presented, written in simple language, not buried in politics. The key principle was clear. Every world has the right to truth. When Amelia stood to speak, the room grew quiet. Her voice carried across the chamber. "We all saw what happens when truth is hidden," she began. "We saw how secrets can poison trust, how fear can twist justice. But we also saw something else, how honesty, even painful honesty, can save us. Humanity was once seen as reckless, impulsive, and dangerous. Yet it was our mistake that exposed the larger lies. We are not perfect. No species is. But today we have a chance to be better, together." For a moment no one spoke. Then one of the ardent delegates rose. His voice was firm but respectful. "Dr. Ross, the Dominion acknowledges its failure to uphold transparency. We accept the Bureau's oversight." A Velothi representative followed. "And we, the collective, offer full cooperation. We owe our survival to your courage." Applause spread slowly through the chamber. It was hesitant at first, then genuine. Amelia felt her throat tighten. For years, humans had been treated with suspicion, but now, at last, they were seen not as threats, but as proof that even flawed species could rise above fear. After the session, Amelia stepped outside into the open air. The sky above Helion shimmered with the glow of distant ships. Marcus joined her, carrying 2 cups of warm tea. "They're calling it the second dawn," he said. "The day the Accord started over." Amelia took the cup and smiled faintly. "A nice name for a messy reality." "Messy or not," he said, "you did it." Rena approached and handed Amelia a small data chip. "This came through the network an hour ago. It's encrypted under the old Project Geneva key." Amelia frowned and inserted it into her tablet. The screen flickered to life, showing a single message: checklist incomplete. Additional data fragments detected in uncharted sectors. She felt a cold weight settle in her chest. "It's not over," she whispered. Rena looked uneasy. "You think someone still has the old data?" "Maybe," Amelia said. "Or maybe the system's just detecting echoes. But either way we have to be sure." Marcus sighed. You were hoping for peace. There's no peace without vigilance, Amelia replied. The Accord can't afford to sleep again. She turned to face the horizon, where the twin suns were setting, painting the sky gold and violet. The Geneva checklist was supposed to be a list of laws, she said quietly. But maybe it's something more. Maybe it's a promise, a reminder that someone will always be watching. Rena smiled softly. Then we'd better keep watching. As the stars appeared one by one, Amelia clipped the silver pin onto her uniform. The symbol caught the last rays of sunlight, shining like a small beacon. Around her, the hum of the rebuilt Accord station filled the air, voices of many species working together, not perfectly but honestly. For the first time in a long while, Amelia felt a fragile sense of peace. It wasn't the peace of silence or control, but the kind that comes from truth, hard-earned and real. She turned to Marcus and Rena. We've got work to do, she said, a quiet determination in her tone. Marcus grinned. That sounds like you. As the three of them walked toward the command tower, the stars reflected in the glass around them, bright and endless. The past would always cast shadows, but humanity had found its place among the stars, not by being the strongest, but by being the ones who refused to look away. Amelia glanced once more at the glowing horizon and whispered to herself, never again. And with that, she stepped into the light of a new beginning, carrying both the burden and the hope of every world that believed in the power of truth.